The girls in Japan, especially the young ones, have always been seen as a symbol of Japanese culture. The obsession with this type of beauty is depicted everywhere. In anime, manga, models, and even robots tend to have a very youthful appearance. However, to better understand this concept, we need to understand what gave rise to this phenomenon of robot girls who are functional and realistic in all aspects, and who aesthetically show many doubts about their age. What is behind all this is really shocking. We should consider that recently Japan has definitively approved a law that raises the age of consent from 13 to 16 years old. Until now, Japan had the lowest age of consent among countries worldwide, and the law defining it had not been changed for over 100 years. The fact that this change has only happened now is indicative of a very concerning factor, especially because Japan has always been a protagonist in a phenomenon called kawaii. Kawaii, which translates to cute in Japanese, has become an integral part of Japan's identity. It encompasses the adorable fashion, mannerisms, and childlike innocence often seen in Japanese pop culture. While it appears innocent on the outside, Kawaii culture has a much deeper impact on society. In Japan, the pressure to conform to societal norms is intense, and the Kawaii culture contributes to this phenomenon. Young girls often feel compelled to adopt the kawaii style to be accepted by society, especially in schools and workplaces. The dark aspect is the objectification of women in Japanese media. The kawaii culture often portrays women as submissive and overly dependent on men. This narrow representation reinforces gender stereotypes and perpetuates an unhealthy power dynamic, affecting not only women but also society as a whole. Women who endeavor to embody kawaii aesthetics can reinforce gender norms and add to the long-standing societal perception that women are less competent, logical, and influential than men. Moreover, by promoting youthfulness as an esteemed social standard, the kawaii movement diminishes the value of older women and undermines their significant attributes, like wisdom and life experience, consequently eroding the self-assurance of mature women. While young Japanese men are encouraged to pursue intelligence and success, kawaii culture essentially discourages young women from maturing, leading to adverse consequences for all Japanese women. It is evident that the kawaii culture is not primarily created by women for women, but is rather designed with men in mind. This is supported by the fact that the majority of Japan's teenage idol girl groups have a fan base consisting mostly of males. Additionally, this perspective is further reinforced by the booming Japanese porn industry, which extensively utilizes kawaii culture and the sexy schoolgirl theme in magazines widely accessible in convenience stores, libraries, supermarkets, and bookstores. In contrast to the concept of no means no prevalent in most Western countries, expressing one's opinion as a female in Japan is often viewed as unwomanly, from underage models and actresses being put under tremendous pressure to perform, to instances of JK businesses, that means high school girl cafes that cater to older men. The dark underbelly of the girl culture is deeply unsettling. The relentless pursuit of cuteness and perfection in Japanese girl culture can be dangerous for the population. Many young girls feel the need to suppress their emotions, struggling with anxiety and depression. The pressure to maintain a perfect facade, both in public and online, exacerbates these issues. As technology advances, the development of female young robots in Japan is taking worrying turns. Hiroshi Ishiguro is one of the most renowned scientists creating humanoid robots to combat loneliness. In his laboratories in Osaka, he has established an ever-evolving factory of androids. In 2002, he started with a replica of his 9-year-old daughter Risa, a stiff rubber doll with limited movements. Ishiguro refined the Geminoid project, a twin android, attempting to create copies from an original human mold. He based his approach on the idea that since humans can form intimate connections with other humans, the right path is that of imitation and replicance. In 2005, he drew inspiration from a Japanese news anchor to create Q1. However, the true leap in quality came with a teen robot named Erika. Erika is the first fully autonomous android capable of holding a genuine conversation for up to 10 minutes. And she can recognize voices, use infrared to track human movements, has a voice synthesizer, and a natural motion generator. Since the 17th century, Japan has been building karakuri mechanized dolls to serve tea and for religious ceremonies. 100 years later, the Czech playwright Karel Čapek wrote a theatre play that first used the term robot, which means slave in Czech. A sex robot can be described as a mechanical doll of human-like appearance and size that is able to perform intercourse by means of motor-equipped artificial genitalia, whereas a high degree of autonomy or artificial intelligence may not be mandatory. Advanced prototypes of sex robots still are able to carry out simple verbal communication, simulate different personalities, and express enjoyment in order to increase their anthropomorphic realism. Human sexuality has been a driver of communication technology acceptance and use, and sexuality is a field of application that could accelerate the proliferation of emerging technologies such as virtual reality or social robotics. Not surprisingly, the topic of sex robots sparks controversy. Some experts express concerns about ethical matters and advocate for restrictions on their further advancement. They worry that the rise of sex robots may reinforce objectification, perpetuate gender stereotypes, and lead to emotionally detached sexual encounters. Some see potential psychological and social benefits of having sexual robot partners, such as in sexual therapy, or as a less contentious alternative to human sex workers. The market predictions are divided on whether and when sex robots will become available to a broader public. Nevertheless, some forecasts suggest that by 2025, high-income households may start seeing them, and by 2050, human-robot sex could surpass interpersonal encounters. This could potentially lead to love relationships between individuals and robotic dolls becoming a reality. But one crucial aspect that has yet to be adequately addressed is whether society in general and the specific user groups are genuinely accepting of sex robots. The visual design of these robots plays a significant role in shaping people's responses. Striving to make sex robots as lifelike as possible might trigger the uncanny valley effect, as described by Maury's hypothesis. This means that highly realistic yet not entirely human-like robots could evoke feelings of discomfort and eeriness in human observers. Some supporters of this technology believe that it could permanently eradicate prostitution and help those who are unable to have a relationship like everyone else. One of the many problems is that in Japan, the widespread use of silicone-loved dolls is exacerbating the declining birth rate and population. Last year, Japan's birth rate fell below 1 million, a trend that has been partly attributed to the increase in sex robots by some demographic experts. In fact, there seems to be a relative trend of men opting for sex robots instead of real partners. Japan already has one of the lowest birth rates in the world, with a population that has decreased in the last decade. It is predicted that the birth rate will decrease by another third by 2060. This indicates a significant aging population, a shrinking workforce, and insufficient young individuals to fill the gaps, leading to a demographic crisis that has been developing over decades. In one central Japan village, only one newborn child was recorded in 25 years, which was seen as a miraculous event for the elderly inhabitants of the town. The situation has become so critical that Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida cautioned lawmakers in January about the country being on the verge of being unable to sustain its social functions due to the declining birth rate. To address the problem, Japan introduced its New Children and Families Agency in April, with a focus on measures to assist parents, such as establishing more daycare centers and offering youth services like counseling. Despite previous similar efforts carried out by local authorities, they have not yet succeeded in reversing the trend. The challenges of busy urban lifestyles, the influence of sex robots, unhealthy lifestyles, and long working hours leave little time for some Japanese to start families. Additionally, the increasing cost of living makes having a baby too expensive for many young people. This is why Japanese society is falling into an endless abyss. Ethical and social concerns are also part of the discussion, and the reinforcement of unrealistic body standards. Additionally, there's a debate about whether the normalization of intimate relationships with dolls is healthy for individuals and society. US legislators are actively attempting to prohibit the production of sex robots that look like a very young teen. And there are many concerns regarding the ethical stance of sex doll manufacturers who market their products as suitable for families. The risk is that Japanese population could become addicted to explicit androids. Despite these concerns, the trend of individuals engaging with robot companions shows no signs of slowing down. There are a sex robot company that now possesses the capability to craft remarkably realistic humanoid dolls modeled after celebrities and adult film stars. This is achieved through the use of explicit 3D scanning technology, used for cloning real humans.